My title at CenterParcs is Guest Relations Manager, and I'm responsible for a team of guest services executives based at head office. We support the villagers when guests are on village if they need any help or advice. We also deal with any escalated complaints once guests have come home, anything that's not settled or anything they want to raise. Our job is to resolve that to the guest satisfaction. I'm also responsible for measuring service levels within the company, and we do that in a number of ways by guest satisfaction questionnaires, mystery guest programmes, and recently social media and review sites on the web. A guest that wants quite a relaxing holiday, based within their forest, in their villa, may not eat out or take part in activities. I would say that those guests will bump into and, through arrivals, cycles, etc., around about 10 to 12 members of the team. A real active family who might be eating out for every meal, 3 activities a day, that kind of thing. We could be talking 35, 40 members of our team within a break. Training's really important. Every member of staff, whether you're guest facing or not, will take part in a 2-day induction programme. On the first day it's about the company, the brand, but one of the things that's important for me is that they'll have a village tour. And that's important for knowledge. The second day is completely dedicated to our Delivering Excellence service programme, and that helps those team members understand what's important to us. They will learn how to interact and engage with guests. Even if they work in a kitchen, they will learn that, walking to their job, they may come into contact with a guest and what we expect. Before guests arrive, they can contact us in so many ways nowadays. They can telephone the contact centre, they can telephone guest services at the villages, they can telephone my team here at head office. We have a dedicated Facebook page. We communicate with guests via TripAdvisor. There are so many ways, and our aim would be one point of call. We would aim to resolve any concerns. Guest services on the village would be the main point of contact for any guests that's staying with us. They would coordinate any complaints that guests have, any issues, any concerns. They can book activities. That would be the point of contact for guests. There's lots of things that guests can do when they come to us, and we encourage guests to organise and book before they come. Our booking window now is 6 months in advance, and they can book anything. They can book an event that's happening during their stay, any activity or restaurant. The reason we ask them to do that is so that we can manage service levels. We can be prepared for the number of guests that want to do that activity and ensure they have the best experience possible. It also helps us to understand trending and what guests might want to do. We can put on an extra session if things are booked up. There are some guests that don't want to book 6 months in advance, and for those guests there are Wi-Fi self-service booking points on the village. They can book with guest services, or there are leisure booking points around the village. Complaints on the village are guest services again. We try and make it simple for guests, whether it's a complaint, whether you want to book something, whatever assistance you need, we try and educate the guest that will be via guest services. We display a service promise quite close to guest services, and there's a guest services directory in all of our accommodation. The directory will answer lots of questions sort of as a self-service point that guests might have, but there are contact numbers in there, and any complaints would be through guest services. Guest services their aim is to resolve that as soon as possible, and they would be their contact point throughout any complaint to the final stages of completion. We link in with the villagers when guests make a complaint or any feedback at all that we get following a guest stay. We use the same guest services database as the villagers, and we use something called a service recovery log that we communicate with the villagers on a daily basis. So if you've just come home from your holiday and you've had issues whilst you're there, we should be able to pick up directly where the villagers have left off. So it should be complete consistency for that guest. It saves the guest coming to us and us starting right from the beginning, and it's a speedier service for that guest. The number of complaints we get compared with the number of visitors that travel through our village is very, very low. You know, and I know that compared with other companies as well, when we have looked at benchmarking. And it's important to us for those guests that do complain that we encourage them to come back to us and we resolve things to their satisfaction. Over 90% of guests on our guest satisfaction survey tell us that they intend to come back to us, and occupancy rates are in the 90s as well throughout the year, not just at peak times. Whatever guests contact us for, whether it's complimentary, a complaint, we always make contact. And one of the ways this year that we've changed things, we always try and telephone those guests so that they've got some personal contact. You know, no matter how serious the issue is, or they're writing to thank us, we'll always try and telephone you to have a chat with you. And thank you for doing that.